Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Arant with Arant Academic Planning, and this is part of our virtual information series where I'm joined by admission representatives from all across the country, different school types, different school sizes, locations. And so for tonight, I am joined by Drew Carter, who works at the College of Holy Cross. You can take it away, Drew.
Thanks, Matt. Hi, friends. As Matt said, I'm Drew Carter. I'm very excited to work in the Office of Admission at Holy Cross, and pleased to be with you here tonight to introduce you to a little bit about Holy Cross. So, just a little bit to set some context about our location. We are dead smack in the middle of Worcester, Massachusetts. There's a little lesson. There's a lot of letters there, but it's just pronounced simply as Worcester, which is the second largest city in New England, right behind Boston. And there's a lot of things that make up Worcester, and hospitals and med schools and um, bioengineering firms. But the truth is, for our prospective students and our current students, what really matters is that Worcester is a college town. I think this year we have a little over 35,000 students in the city from all the other colleges. So there's no tall buildings in Worcester. What it really is just a great college town. 18 to 22-year-olds make up really the largest portion of the population. And it has the feel of one of those great Midwestern university cities with 35,000 students. But the truth is, all of those students go to small schools. So as you navigate your way around the city, you see college after college after college, and most of the economy is targeted at 18 to 22-year-olds. One last thing about Worcester is that we're in a consortium with all the other schools there in the city, and so there's a free shuttle that circulates amongst the college campuses, so students can get from one campus to the other for free. The libraries are on an interloan system, and students are able to cross-register for courses. Um, it counts the equivalent of a course at their home college, and the transportation is free, and they're allowed to do one course per semester that way. So all the students in Worcester are attending small schools, but they have the resources of a much larger university with all the other colleges in the city. Um, just some very, very basics about Holy Cross. So we're we're liberal arts school, and we're exclusively undergraduate Jesuit college. Um, no grad students, no law school, no med school, not a single graduate program on campus. And I think that is unique to our school, especially amongst the larger network of Jesuit colleges and universities. And we welcome students, staff, faculty members of all gender, race, religion, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, and gender identity. A little bit of the nuts and bolts here, right? We're at 3,200 students. I think this year we'll be closer to over a little 90% of our students living on campus. The first year retention rate is always very, very high. And our average class size there hovers, between 18 and 20 from year to year. When I talk about that with students, I usually note that the good news is, with classes that small, that the professor is going to know your name. I am quick to point out as well, though, that the bad news is the professors will know your name. And there is an accountability that comes with being in a small class like that. Our faculty have expectations for our students on a daily basis, and that's not necessarily true at all, especially at larger universities sometimes. But while our faculty have daily expectations for our students to be engaged in their learning, our students, I think, in turn, have expectations for their faculty members to be engaged in their learning, and so it's a mutual expectations that I think bring the level of accountability and respect in the classroom that really is the hallmark of the Holy Cross education. As a Jesuit school, our motto is to be people for and with others. Um, but what does that really mean? I think that means a lot of different things to a lot of different parts of our campus community, whether it's students, faculty, or staff. But there's a few sort of core principles that I think anchor the mission of the school. I'll start with my favorite, which is at the bottom, which is cura personalis, which is care for the whole person. You find it. You find it when people are holding doors for you. You find it when faculty greet you when you enter their classroom, when they acknowledge you by name. You find it in the way we conduct our admission process. It is the sort of the anchor principle of our school is that idea of care for the whole person. The Jesuits also have a very strong commitment to sustainability, to service and social justice and social responsibility are um, are incredibly important attributes to the campus community. And obviously it helps to structure what our daily life is like, our academic, the way we teach in the classroom, and the way our students choose to pursue their daily life. Um, all our all our courses here are taught by faculty members. We don't have graduate students. We don't have teaching interns or anything like that. You know, the personal relationships are a big part of the education, especially when I talked about, you know, our size being the average classes is, you know, typically between 18, 19, 20 students. That also means that research opportunities are available to our students because we're exclusively undergraduate. Our faculty members are looking for help and assistance in their research, and they have no one to go to but our undergraduates. So our students are getting research opportunities that are usually reserved for graduate level students. And it is a big part of how our students, I think, bring the material to life by engaging in these research opportunities with faculty members. Often, when I talk to faculty members and ask them about incorporating students into the research in the classroom, they make sure to note that while certainly students who are excelling in the class may be seeking out research opportunities, but it is often the faculty members who are approaching students who may be struggling at times in the classroom and encouraging them to pursue research opportunities as well. One faculty member noted to me recently that once they get a student in their lab working on research opportunities with them, the material in the classroom sort of comes to life for them, and they thereby sort of become a stronger student, and it elevates their own performance in the classroom. This is a very, very, very confusing long list of some of the academic programs here at Holy Cross, and I'm not going to really spend time talking about it, but I do want to mention probably the most important part, which is at the top, which is that all of our first year students begin their career at Holy Cross undeclared. Some students have, certainly directions that they want to begin and will start studying right away on a specific academic path. But all students start undeclared and do so that they feel a little bit of the freedom of not having pre-committed themselves to an academic path while they were in high school. Students will take classes with the help of their advisor, who helps them choose classes that interest them from experiences they've had in high school or just ideas that they might be very excited about. Majority of our students declare their major during sophomore year, but once they do declare their major, they do so in a way where they feel confident and committed to that academic path because they're only declaring a major after having taken many classes within that academic area. The academic advisor plays a big role, especially in those first 2 to 3 semesters, helping students not only pick their courses, but identify areas of interest and eventually narrow in on a major that they would declare by the end of their sophomore year. One of the things that does help provide a little bit of structure to the first year experience at Holy Cross is our sort of unique living and learning program called Montserrat. It is a little complicated. There's a little bit of a graph here on the or a diagram here on the slide, but the truth is all first year students will take a small seminar. Usually the average is about 13 or 14 students in that class. That's their Montserrat seminar, and students will take that throughout their entire first year. Depending upon the year, there's usually about 45 to 50-ish to choose from. And students are able to browse through the entire list of options and then rank their top 5, and they're guaranteed to get one of those seminars within their top 5. Now, what's unique about that class is that all the students in that class are first year students, and In addition, all those students in the class will also live in their dorm. So it is a unique sort of living and learning opportunity. It, for a lot of our first year students, is their first immediate peer group. It's this group of students, all first year students, all in the same class for the entirety of the first year. They all live in the same residential hall as well. When I talk to students who are, juniors or seniors at Holy Cross, and I ask them what really helped with that transition, um, I hear some mentions of the orientation programs, which are very strong in Holy Cross, but more often than not, students point to Montserrat. The experience they have in that class really helps get them acclimated academically, find a sort of a social and support network on campus, and connect with a faculty member throughout the entirety of their first year. Each of the courses is organized in a cluster, and these themes here are listed here on the left, and so all of these Montserrat classes could be within varying different academic programs, but they are organized in these clusters that do provide a little bit of structure throughout that course throughout the year. Contemporary challenges, core human questions, the divine, global society, natural world, and the self. And students aren't picking a cluster, they're picking a class, but everyone within that cluster of classes will all live in the same residential hall. It truly is sort of a overarching experience throughout the student's first year. And there's some, like I said, just some examples of courses there on the right-hand side. But they do change just a little bit from year to year. And there is an excess of 45 or 50 to choose from every year. Stepping outside of the classroom, our students, not just at Holy Cross, but I think at many schools like Holy Cross, are very interested in moving the education beyond the classroom. The phrase we use is experiential learning, and that includes things like community-based learning, where classes, traditional academic classes at Holy Cross might also have a service component that brings students into the community as part of the curriculum. The service will relate to the work that's being done in the class. The academic internship program, those are Holy Cross students participating in internships during the year for credit with an advisor, also taking a weekly seminar to supplement the experience. Summer research program, Ignite Fund, where students are able to sort of receive, apply for funds to implement kind of real world projects, and travel to do research and present at conferences. So much of this is overseen in a couple different areas at Holy Cross, and it's you can never overlook the Career Development Center, who does incredible work on our campus, helping to organize summer internships, connections with Holy Cross alumni, grants for unpaid internships, allowing students to explore opportunities in the workforce that aren't traditionally compensated. They're able to get funding for that. And then advising throughout their 4 years on both career paths and graduate school. The work they do is really unparalleled, and we're incredibly lucky to have them as part of our community. Study abroad is incredibly popular at Holy Cross, so much so that I would update one of the stats there. We're now back to #1 in the country for year-long study abroad participation. We only dipped down to #7 for 1 year, but I think of 5 of the last 6 years, we've had more students study abroad as a part of a 2-semester program than any other school in the country. It tends to be about 40% of our students that will study abroad, either as part of a 2-semester program, a 1-semester program, or a month-long program that we have in May called the May-mester that starts after exams had finished in the spring. It is wildly popular these days. The semester and 2-semester programs traditionally take place during the student's junior year, and the month-long May-mester program is now available as early as freshman year for the first year for students. And that gives students an opportunity to hit the ground running when they get to Holy Cross and to start to think about how they're going to take their academic experience around the world and still continue as a Holy Cross student and still continue to be on course to graduate in 4 years. Worth mentioning, we are also like I said at the beginning, a small school of 3,200 students, but we're also a Division One school. So 27 Division One teams, a quarter of our student body are Division One athletes. And in addition to that, actually, the club and intramural sports scene is incredibly popular at Holy Cross. I think when you add together our Division One student athletes, students participating in club sports, and then students participating in intramural sports, I think you're looking at close to 75 to 80% of the student body is participating in athletics and health and wellness in a somewhat organized fashion. Um, our baseball team was just in the NCAA tournament. We're proud to be watching them on ESPN just a couple days ago, and all of our Division One teams participate on campus in home arenas, and student participation um, is incredibly high at some of these games. As an administrator, I love being present at these games and watching our student athletes, but at the same time, watching their fellow students cheer them on. Student life is busy and vibrant at Holy Cross. Like most schools that have an incredibly high percentage of students living on campus, um, we have a really vibrant student life on campus. With all of our students living there, there is a lot going on. Certainly, we got the alternative college theater, a cappella groups. I think service and social justice organizations are incredibly popular right now. We Year to year, we vacillate around 40 different community service organizations that will participate each week in service off campus within the greater community of Worcester. Um, there's plenty of multicultural student organizations, special interest, American Sign Language Club, Best Buddies, creative writing clubs, running clubs. It is an active student body, and there's new clubs being added each and every year. Certainly asked by students sometimes about um, favorite traditions at Holy Cross. The one I usually point to, which happened just recently, is midnight breakfast, and that is it's just as easy as it sounds. It's breakfast at or around midnight, but it is traditionally done in the weeks leading up to final exams, both in the fall semester and in the spring semester. What's special about it is that the breakfast at midnight is served by faculty and administrators. It is a chance for faculty and administrators to acknowledge the stressful period of time that students might be in as the semester comes to an end and final papers and exams are being studied for. Um, and it's a chance for the community to come together, take a little bit of a study break, and to have some bacon and sausage. And it is part study break, but I think it is really morphed into a community event. And that's just one of many of the students' favorite traditions here at Holy Cross. Just a little bit about our career services. Certainly, a large portion of students are going into healthcare and education. Um, and the med school and law school acceptance rates are incredibly high. Those tend to be right there in the mid 90s every single year. And our pre-med program does a great job of preparing students regardless of what their major is. Um, Certainly, a portion of our pre-med students will major in a science, but there's a large portion who will not, including my doctor, who was an English major at Holy Cross. A bit about the admissions process here at Holy Cross. So we offer two rounds of early decision. The first one, November 15th, and the second is January 15th, which also is our regular decision deadline. We accept both the common application and the coalition application through SCORE. And we are, in addition, we're a QuestBridge partner. This will be our fourth or fifth cycle coming up as a QuestBridge partner, and we're very excited to accept any of those three applications. What we require, obviously, is the whichever application, including the essay, transcript, and then the counselor recommendation and the teacher recommendation. We've been test optional for about 20 years now. So I would like to say we are authentically optional. Um, Less than half of our students will choose to submit standardized testing. For those who do choose to submit, it'll be a part of our review. but a small enough part of the review that we could do the very same review without testing and not really know the difference. The acceptance rate tends to be essentially the same for both submitters and non-submitters. And like I said, this is our yeah, we're getting close to our 20th year as a test optional school, so this is not a new thing for us and not something we're studying. It is something we've been committed to for a long time. Interviews are strongly recommended as a part of our application process. We begin offering interviews actually yesterday, usually the beginning of June is when interviews become available. And usually the deadline is towards the end of November. We do most of our interviews over Zoom, and we'll make exceptions for in-person interviews from time to time. It is a great opportunity for us to get to know the student a little bit better and the student to get to know Holy Cross a little bit better. It brings a dimension to the student's application. You certainly don't need to have applied before you interview. We always say the best time to interview is when you interview. And for those students who think of it, I usually say the summer is usually the best time to interview because the student's senior fall tends to be very busy and deadlines approach rather quickly. So you're not asked any questions to which you don't already know the answer to because the questions are simply about you. Most of our students come from outside the state, outside the region, all across the country, and certainly increasingly so all across the world. We meet 100% of any student's demonstrated financial need at the time of admission. We require both the FAFSA and the CSS profile. We are need aware, but we will meet 100% of need. It is a primary goal of our Office of Admission to be seeking out the best students, to be supporting them through the admission process, to be supporting them through the financial aid application, and then making a Holy Cross education affordable. I appreciate you following along. This is my reminder, sort of my name here. I'm Drew Carter. I cover just a select number of schools in the Northeast, especially in Massachusetts and in New York City. But we have a great staff, a wonderful staff who spans the globe, really, meeting with students both in the fall and in the spring, and then occasionally in the winter as well. That QR code will lead you to our staff website where everyone's contact information is available. And for applicants, once they gain entry into their Holy Cross application portal, then you're prompted with who both your financial aid counselor and your admissions counselor are. So all the information is right there. So thanks very much, and it was great speaking with you all tonight.
Great. Thank you, Drew. I just have a couple questions. First off, we had that list of all those fields of study, majors, whatever nomenclature you use, right? There's a lot, and that's kind of the beauty of liberal arts colleges. It's pretty much everything you can almost think of, right?
Yeah.
But there are a couple of ones that kind of came to mind when I was looking at it. One was engineering. So I was wondering,
Yeah.
what does that look like as a small liberal arts college that has engineering? Is it going to be a 3-2 program? Like, and do you have official partnerships not only in the Northeast, but maybe all across the country? How does that work for a family that wants to consider engineering, but they're not exactly sure how sure they are with of going that route?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always quick to point out to that student who I meet who's, maybe a high school junior or even a senior who says, I want to study engineering in college. And I usually say, are you sure? And when they say
Yeah.
they're sure, I say, your best option is to look somewhere else. Our program is a 3-2 program, so it's a 5-year dual degree program. Um, Columbia and WPI have been our partners. WPI is a newer partner. And again, it's not anything the student applies for upon entry. There is an advisor for the program here at Holy Cross who advises on course selection, advises on academic progression. We'll give you a sense of the grades at which students who have been admitted into this program have usually achieved. And to be honest, it usually is a small number of students, and students who have majored in something like physics or computer science or chemistry. It is not always students who have had that in mind when they've enrolled. Sometimes it's been a kind of a late discovery. But from year to year, the numbers usually you can count on one hand pretty easily.
Okay. And then going back to the Montserrat program, and then like I think the next slide talked about experiential learning. I
Yeah.
was wondering when the students are taking those courses that first year, are there experiential requirements? Like so, because like, a lot of those classes were intentionally broad in terms of, oh, we can kind of go in a lot of different ways, right?
Yeah.
I was wondering when they're taking these classes as a first year, are there like I guess excursions, like if like an art one, are they going to an art museum or things like, is there something built into that or does it vary depending on each one of those classes?
So, um, I kind of went past it quickly because I do think it's a little confusing. There's about, let's just say, 50
Yeah.
seminars, and they are organized within six different clusters.
Okay.
Um, and they can be, one cluster could have classes from totally different academic areas, but they have that kind of that guiding principle, that guiding theme. There are outside of the classroom experiences that typically are organized by cluster.
Hmm.
I'll give you a great example. A faculty member who was a friend of mine who was teaching a Montserrat seminar, creative writing inspired by nature. And she took her students up to Mount Wachusett, which is a ski area here, not too about 15 minutes from campus, in the spring as part of an outing. With her class in the bus was an environmental studies seminar that was from the same cluster going to the same location for
Yeah.
a completely different reason. So there are culminating experiences each semester and throughout the semester that are
Hmm.
organized by cluster that different courses within the cluster take part in. It is sure is difficult to explain sometimes, but um,
Yeah.
the Holy Cross students don't find it complicated at all. But you're right. Also, as you sort of said, the community-based learning aspect, where a service component can be a part of those classes as well. Some of this is used as a way to introduce these first-year students into the kind of the breadth and depth and the variety of options available to them throughout their 4 years.
Yeah, the important thing I think is just having that course available to help those students adjust, right? No matter which high school they're coming from, they can come from the most prestigious New England boarding school or just your run-of-the-mill public school, but college is going to be a step up regardless where you're coming from. So having that specific program built in place helps that adjustment period for those students too.
And the faculty member can teach specifically to that idea because everyone's a first year student,
Yeah.
which doesn't really happen in college. It's kind of a mix of years, but that class is unique in that way.
Hmm. And then one final question. So I noticed there's students from all 50 states and multiple countries. I was wondering for those students that aren't used, I guess, for lack of a better term, to the Northeast. So me, I've lived in Texas, right? So Texas is very different than Worcester, Mass, right? So how do you talk to, I guess, your colleagues that cover those territories? What do they kind of use to entice those families to look at a school that's completely across the country, not only, or if not even the world from where they're at right now?
Yeah, I mean, uh, some of the experience and education available at Holy Cross is a lot of times what I describe to families from outside the region is when you close your eyes and you sort of picture kind of classic New England college.
Hmm.
That stereotype is what you're seeing at Holy Cross, and I think in the picture here of some of the brick buildings, yeah, if you were down on ground level, you would see the ivy covering the buildings, and if it was September and October, you would see the foliage everywhere. But it really is, as you described, it's a hub for students from all over the world. Um, Typically, I like to describe the school, but not sell the school, and I allow the kind of the experience to speak for itself. Um, Texas is actually one of our largest states from which we enroll students outside of the Northeast. And I think those students are looking for that sort of classic um, Northeast college experience near a big city.
Hmm.
For those who are looking for that kind of more rural version of the New England college experience, that student probably wouldn't be happy at Holy Cross. There's
Yeah.
a million great small liberal arts schools in New England in rural environments. Our environment, while there's no tall buildings in Worcester, and the neighborhood is pedestrian and kind of feels suburban. You're not going to sort of ride a mountain bike of off campus up a mountain.
Yeah.
The students who are attracted to Holy Cross are attracted to the school, but then also the setting of being in a city that has opportunities for um, community service and internships, and then frankly, just pizza and burritos. I mean, let's just be real.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to be in a bigger location because you want a great slice of
There's more
pizza.
stuff. Right.
Yeah, you can get pizza and burritos kind of anywhere, but bigger cities tend to have more variety of options.
Yeah. Okay. Well, on behalf of Drew and myself, thank you for tuning in. I hope this was illuminating. Hopefully, if you maybe have not heard of Holy Cross before or you are familiar, I hope this kind of helped you understand the appeal of a liberal arts college in a suburban-ish area, right?